Hey, what is going on, guys? In this video I'm showing you some tips and tricks you can accomplish with the HTC One M9. So I'm going to get straight into it. So the first thing you can do is, of course, double tap the screen to wake it up, and you do a single swipe, and then it actually unlocks the device itself. So there are a few more wake up commands available, but I'm going to go back into them later on because we'll do that in a separate segment. For now, let's focus on the home screen. So on the home screen, if you pinch in, you have the ability to add widgets. All you can do is long press and drag it onto any screen, it'll be added. Or you can add additional panel home screens, just like so. Or if you want to remove something, you can just hold and drag and remove. Now, there is actually something on the far left called HTC Blinkfeed. It's this one right here. You can actually remove that. You just long press it and remove it, just like any other home panel. And you can just add it back by simply tapping Add Blinkfeed. So I want to actually show you that next. So swiping to the far left, this is where you get Blinkfeed, and this basically allows you to see a whole bunch of social networks if you want to see some news articles. So for example, I've subscribed to Tom's Hardware, just as an example. But you can add more. You're not limited to technology categories as I have. If you go to highlights on the left, then you have some topics available here. You can add the plus. This basically allows you to add additional content. So here you have your social networks like Facebook and stuff. Here you have some pick feeds, topics regarding travel, the environment, so on and so forth. So you can actually literally customize this as your own personal news feed. And of course, in additional settings, if you tap the menu icon and go to settings, you can customize Blinkfeed even further. For example, you can have offline news reading, you can choose topic highlights, so on and so forth. Now, going to the dock station where you have all your apps displayed, out of the box, everything was a cluttered mess. I don't like that. So if you do the top left over here, you do have the ability to change the order. So I changed it to alphabetical because that's what I prefer. Out of the box, it was actually set to custom, and that had everything rearranged and in a silly order. You can actually search through your apps itself. So if you're looking for something specific, like say Keep, it'll search just like that. Tapping on this icon here will open the Google Play Store, and this will basically allow you to browse literally, well, the Google Play Store. If you tap this button here, you have the ability to hide and unhide apps. So you basically checkmark something, click done, and then it will be hidden from this feed. It doesn't uninstall them, just hides them. Clicking Manage Apps basically goes into the System Settings menu, and it allows you to manage apps even further. From here, if you tap on something, this is a generic feature. You can wipe the cache, remove some permanent data, so it'll be as if you just freshly install the application. And of course, you can change the grid size. This will not make the icons bigger or smaller, which I prefer would have done. It just rather just kind of spaces them out a bit more. Now, going over the notification bar, if you swipe down once, you just get the time and stuff like that. If you go down a second time, you do see your notification control bars. Now, one thing I want to mention that is not included in stock Lollipop, which this device is running, is, well, not stock, but it is running Lollipop out of the box. It has silent mode. Yes, HTC decided to keep it, and to me this is important and awesome, but you do have silent mode available. And you can customize these icons here. So when you swipe down that second time, you have this little pencil that shows up. If you tap on it, it basically allows you to rearrange the order. You can click and drag, or you can just simply remove them if you want. You just add them below hidden items, and of course from these hidden items you can add them to the ones being displayed. Now, this device does support Mirrorcast, which allows you to wirelessly display whatever's on the phone onto your TV, if of course your TV supports Mirrorcast, or if your media player connected to your TV supports it as well. So there's a quick demonstration, but to actually access it, all you have to do is go to your main system settings menu and then tap HTC Connect, and it'll start scanning for devices that are supported. So for example, there at the top is my smart TV. If you tap the menu icon, click scan options, you can actually scan for very specific type of connectivity devices that you want. And on the subject of connectivity, there's an IR blaster built into this device right here at the top. So you can basically use this device as a universal remote control, and that is achieved by opening the Peel Smart Remote app. And once it is connected to your device or your other home theater device, if it is supported and recognized by the remote, you can use it as a universal remote control for all your home theater devices, again, if it is recognized. Going over to personal, while in the system settings menu still, this is where a fair chunk of the special features are in which you can customize your device. Change home screen launcher basically allows you to change between the two stock ones, as you can see, or if you have additional ones downloaded later on, you can also activate those. Now, if I were to choose easy mode, for example, as you can see, this is literally an easy mode. This is like for a grandparent mode, I nickname it. It's very simple, very easy to use, everything's big, It's not complicated, and you can add more objects if you need to. And of course, that also carries on to the system settings menu. Notice the system settings menu is also very, very large. So let's go back to the regular Sense Home, and everything comes back to its normal size. Now the rest of the options here I'm going to skip because they're stock Android. There's nothing really special HTC exclusive about them. But if you want to know what's included in stock Android, I'll include a link to that video in the video description. I'm kind of focusing a bit more on the HTC exclusive apps whenever I can. So the next cool thing that's exclusive to the One M9 is of course changing the navigation buttons at the bottom. So basically still in personalization, if you click change navigation buttons, as you can see the back button's on the right side, but if I were to change its position here and click done, it'll change over to the left. So this basically allows whether you're left or right-handed, you can change the position of the navigation buttons. Something that's missing on the Nexus 6, which is an oversized device, and missing from stock Android, which is a poor choice on Google, but it's included here, which is awesome. But you're not limited to just the 3 buttons down here. As you can see, you have a few more shortcuts that are available. One is to turn off the screen, turn auto rotate on and off, notifications, which would drag it down, high navigation bar, and of course the quick settings, which is here. So there's shortcuts to other shortcuts, but there is simply one tap away. Moving a bit further, you have the options to download additional themes, and there's actually quite a decent selection already available to you. It's not the most expansive collection, but considering it's, this is a new device and it's already this much available, I think that's a pretty reasonable amount. Changing accent colors just basically changes some of the more accent colors that you'll have randomly pop up. So for example, I have like a type of blue tint here, so if I change it to traction, you'll notice that it changes to a red theme, and this also applies to the navigation notification bar as well. Now this isn't something really too exclusive, but I do want to mention it. If you go over to security while in the system settings menu and you tap kid mode, you do have the ability to lock your phone into a kid mode. And this is actually an app that's available on Google Play. That's why I mentioned it's not too exclusive, but I think it's a really neat mode that is becoming more popular that parents will utilize. Basically, with this particular app, it'll ask you to put a PIN in. So while the app is open and running, a child cannot exit the application unless they punch in your special PIN. They can't press the home button, they can't do anything, they're locked into it. So you can actually filter out what they're able to access. So there are a couple of things in accessibility that aren't really exclusive, but they're pretty neat, so I do want to show it to you guys. If you turn on magnification gestures, what you can simply do is triple tap anywhere and it will magnify. So 1, 2, 3, and as you can see, you can drag around, and if you use a pinch to zoom command, you can zoom in and out even more. Going a little bit further, you do have color inversion, which will help people with certain vision problems. So you can turn that on and off. I find it to be a bit harsh on my eyes, but it actually might help some people. You have some other things like high contrast text. Now this one's gonna be a little bit difficult to show, so let me just zoom in. Focus on the text here that says system. So when I turn on high contrast text, you'll notice that it's actually become white but with a black outline. So I'm gonna turn that back off. You have some other features like the power button will end the call. So when you have a phone call going on, you just simply press the power button and it'll end the phone call itself. You can actually have the phone speak out some passwords. Again, these aren't anything too exclusive, but there are some of the neater features I wanted to mention to you guys. Getting contact from another phone. Now, this is something that is actually possible to do with your Gmail account when you activate it in another Android device, but you can actually carry over your photos and videos. And I have to say that this feature actually works a lot better than that of what Gmail is capable of. Yes, you can carry over your emails and contacts and your apps that are linked to your Google Play account and your Gmail account, but this one carries over photos. It tries to mimic your phone copy as much as possible, and it does a pretty respectable job. So going a little bit further down the system settings menu, you do have display and gestures, and you have something called glove mode, which literally allows you to use a glove while using the phone. So this is great if you're in a colder environment. While still under display and gestures, you go down all the way, you have something called motion launch gestures. So there are actually a number of abilities to wake up your device, so I'm going to go through them one by one. And the most basic one that you have is when the screen is off, you just double tap, 1, 2, and the screen turns on, swipe again to unlock the device. So a couple other gestures is to simply swipe up on the screen while it's off, and it will unlock and wake up the screen at the same time. One is to swipe down, which will activate a voice dialer. It won't work for me right now because I switched my SIM card back out of the device. Of course, another one is to simply swipe to the left, which will transport you straight to your Blinkfeed, which is a part of your home screen. And of course, if you swipe over to the right, this will take you to your widget panel. And lastly, if you put the phone in landscape mode and press and hold the up volume button, the camera will wake up. Now, the dual front-facing speakers on this device are some of the best I've ever heard on a smartphone, and is powered by HTC Boom Sound technology. Now, if you were to tap on this, it'll actually change the sound mode. So right now I have theater mode, If you tap on it, it turns into music mode. Personally, I find that between theater mode and music mode, there's not much of a difference considering the speakers are so small, but I find that theater mode is adequate enough for all my needs. Going over to sound and notification, there aren't many things to show here. Of course, you know, as I mentioned in the review, there is silent mode in this device, despite it having Lollipop, which is very smart on HTC to keep. So if you go down just a little bit further, there's not much to show you, but again, when the device is ringing, if you move it around, it will lower the volume of the ringtone because it knows that you're actually actively trying to pick it up perhaps. There's a pocket mode, so while the device is in your pocket, the phone will ring. There's a flip to mute option, so if you flip the phone on its face, it'll mute the ringtone. And there are few customization options for the notification light. One is to have it flash always or just when the screen is off, and you have some notification LED light controls options for not many of the apps, but some of the more core system functions, I guess you can say. Now back to the system settings menu. If you go over to power, you notice that there are two power saving modes. Now Lollipop comes with one in the stock system, but HTC has included a secondary one which reduces power usage by even greater amount than regular power saving mode. Now going back to the home screen, you'll notice that this is the primary widget right here that comes with the device, and this is actually a learning widget. What it'll actually do is have you input your home address and your work address. So what we can actually do, for example, is that when I'm at home, it'll try to recommend apps that I might want to use at home, and you have suggestions to download certain applications that you might want to use at home. These tend to be video games or just entertainment type of apps, but I noticed that when I'm at work, when I input my work address, or if I simply switch it manually here, it'll switch over to more practical work type of apps. So Google Drive appears, note-taking apps appear. If you go to suggested applications, you do have some games. I'm not sure why that's appearing, it didn't before, but you do have some work-related apps like Google Messenger might show up using the flashlight. It's a learning app, so I haven't used it too much. That's why it's showing me video games, but the more you use it, the more it'll learn. Now I wanted to switch over to the camera app, which looks very simplistic, which it is, but there's actually a lot going on here. So you have the regular tap to focus option, and if you have nothing showing up, you can simply pass the three-dotted button at the bottom left here, and you get all these additional options available. So tapping the camera icon will give you different types of scenarios. So there's like a night mode, an HDR mode, manual, etc. You have capture mode, so this will control your video recording. You have like a slow motion capture, full HD. ISO will allow you to control the ISO levels. EV's exposure values. Auto white balance, so depending on what type of light you're under, you can adjust it from there. If you get the gear icon, you get even more options available. So you can choose your cropping size of your picture, makeup level, that you can try to remove, I guess, pimples and stuff from people's faces if you want to. You can adjust the resolution, what type of video quality recording. I have it set to 4K right now. And if you were to go over to the camera button here and switch M for manual mode, you will get even more control. You'll have stuff like setting your aperture, your shutter speed. This is where a lot of the main core controls are. Now there are a couple of ways to switch the camera modes. One is to simply swipe on the screen. As you can see, it's going to switch over to me. There I am, hello. Another one is, of course, my recommended method is to use the four-dotted button here, and you can switch to them automatically. Now when I first got the device, not all of these were activated. Some of them I had to press the add button, and I added them, and this is all the options that I currently have. So it's a possibility HTC will add more. So while in selfie mode, this is a front-facing camera, and yes, you do have the ability to slide this here. This will actually try to remove pimples and stubbles on your face, try to make it like a beautify face function. So you also have the ability to do some certain voice command actions if you activate it, like saying cheese, action, capture, to either take a picture or start a video recording. Going back to the main options is panorama, which is anything special. Yes, split capture mode, it basically uses the front and rear cameras at the same time to capture a video or a picture. And of course, you can adjust the middle bar here to choose your size. Keep in mind that once recording starts, you can adjust this. So you might have to make this adjustment in advance if you're really peculiar of what you want to do. So while in split capture mode, if you press this little button here at the corner, it'll actually allow you to take a picture with the front or rear camera first, depending on what you want, and then with the other camera later on. This is great if you have to take a picture of one thing, then switch over the scenery and take a picture of another thing. Bokeh is basically allows you to take a picture of an object if it's within 2 feet of your camera, and you can adjust the background, make it blurry like a DSLR effect or a mirrorless camera effect, which to be honest doesn't work that well. The dual camera from the M8 from last year worked better, but I mean, generally on most smartphones, it looks terrible anyway. And of course, lastly, you have something called Photo Booth, which kind of mimics a photo booth. It uses the front-facing camera, so you're gonna see it take a rapid amount of photos, not too fast, kind of like a photo booth after a set amount of time. So I'm gonna press the capture button. As you can see, it's going to take a picture, after a few more seconds going to the next one, and the next one, and so on and so forth. And you can stop it in whenever you want. Now going to the app selection, I don't think this is too important. Actually, I'm going to mention it because I think it's pretty neat. Now you have some other exclusive HTC features which I can't really demonstrate, like the HTC Dot View. That's if you have the Dot View case, which is rather expensive. It's up to you if you want to get it. They have some other HTC features like One Gallery, which isn't too great, but I want to go over to help. I think that this is one of the coolest things you can have. You actually can choose what type of things you want to look up for your device. This is like a built-in manual. And you actually have some video tutorials and how-to instructions available if you tap this button up here. And you also have these like most frequent issues, I guess, listed at the main page. And there's something called FX Photo Editor right here where my thumb is, but we're going to skip past that and I'll get back into it from the gallery itself and go over to Zoe. Zoe is basically HTC's exclusive app. It's kind of like a social network, which I'm not going to get to right now, which basically allows you to make like a musical collage if you want. So I'm going to get back to Zoe. You can actually access some of the options in here, but this is the gallery. I look like a bum, I made a selfie. But basically you can actually choose how you want to view your album. So if you go here, go to timeline, you actually filter through dates most recently taken, and you can choose what kind of options you want to have. So calendar will literally be through a monthly segment. You have by the date, and so on and so forth. And you'll notice that some of them start auto-playing. There's no audio being played back, but it just gives you like a quick video demonstration of what that clip was being recorded of. If you go to albums, it'll actually sort through your folder names instead. So I just opened up any photo from my gallery. I didn't do anything special so far, but if you tap on the screen while looking at a photo or video, depending on what you're looking at, if you tap Zoe, this is basically where you have the ability to mix and match different types of clips, some videos, some pictures, whatever you wish, and then you can add some music in the background to make like a sort of custom musical collage. Now going back to themes, this is actually the option to create themes for your device. You can actually make your own themes on here, which isn't too great, but you do have the ability to make some straight from your own device. FX Editor is what I mentioned a little bit earlier. You can access the editor within the gallery app itself. Now it doesn't look like there's a lot going on here, but there's actually quite a bit. You see, within each category are more categories, and they just filter into more. It depends on which one you're looking at. Some have next to none, some have a lot going on in them. Some of the more cooler effects that they have is like mimicking the ability that you'll have, like say snow falling in the background, for example. As you can see, it's processing, and you can actually make it like a dusty effect, make it foggy. You can adjust how much of this stuff you want going on, or how little, how much. So that's pretty much it for the features of the HTC One M9. There is not a lot of exclusive features coming from HTC, but this is actually one of the things I like about this device. It's a very clean, easy experience, but it has these very nice touches from HTC, which is subtle, but very well executed. But if you want more details, be sure to check out the review of the HTC One M9, because there are some problems with this device, but I get into them again in the review. You can find a link to the review, camera sample videos, gaming demo videos, a whole bunch of other videos regarding the One M9. All those links are in the video description. Furthermore, if you guys found this video useful, be sure to check out my Facebook, Google+, Twitter links, also in the video description. Hit the like button, it does help, subscribe, and thanks for watching.